Right, bro. Hey, Dom, man. Welcome to the show, bro.
Yeah, Gold. Good to be here.
How you been, man?
Real good, man. Real good.
So you just fix that mic, so sort of like... You can bring it closer to yourself if you want.
Sweet.
Sweet. All right, bro. What have you been up to lately?
Oh, man, like I was pretty busy with uni for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
We had a bit of a break from hockey, and then just past couple of weeks I've just been hard out with hockey, yeah. Just busy as, which has been good.
Oh, nice, bro. All right, the first question I want to ask is like, because I'm really curious about this as well. Like most people see this young dude that made like, Black Six at 18, but they don't really know like the story or your own like journey behind hockey. Would you explain the whole, your beginnings,
Just
all
from
that
the
stuff?
start.
Oh, from the start, bro.
Sweet. Yeah, so I had probably like a bit of a different start with hockey. So I'm from like a real Hundies rugby family, like where everyone's real into it. All my uncles and stuff are still heavily involved in rugby and that.
Yeah.
So I played rugby from like 4 or 5, like as every Kiwi kid does. And then I got to primary school and you had to play sport for the school, but I wasn't allowed to play tackle rugby. So a couple of my mates were playing hockey for school and I was just jumped in. I like play with them because it's good to play with your mates and that. And then, I don't know, I guess I was like probably alright at sports and stuff. So found hockey like pretty easy to pick up and just enjoyed playing with my mates and that. Started making a few Canterbury teams. And like sort of just progressed up through, got involved with a bit of New Zealand juniors stuff in my second to last year at school. And just went from there, man.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
But how was it like, playing in the younger divisions? Like, did you find it at first, like picking up, was it like easy or did you find some bits were harder than others?
Oh, man, I can't really remember, but we had one of the boys' mums was our coach. Yeah. And she played for like the Black Six and stuff, so I think she was probably pretty pivotal because she coached us for a couple of years when we were young. And then, it was sweet.
Oh, nice. Like the whole, the point of this podcast is to like interview people and really dive deep with them and like their successes and also their failures, because I really think that, the whole social media and stuff, we portray all the successes, but we don't really look at those down periods or those failures. And I want to really dive into that. Have you had like any like, memorable or really good failures that really impacted your life, sort of push you in the direction you're going now? Yeah,
so I think like if I pinpointed it at one thing, it was when I was year 11, I didn't make the Canterbury under 18 team. Yeah. And I was like pretty gutted, pretty pissed off. Like I sort of thought I should be in the team. So that summer between year 11 and year 12, I had did train real hard and sort of had like set goals and stuff. So like goal was to make the under 18 team, obviously. And then another goal was to make the New Zealand under 18 team. Yeah. So had like this thing in Canterbury is called it was like an academy thing that they ran with all the Canterbury players. And so I just went to that and just went hard all summer and then ended up making the under 18 and the under 21 team and then the New Zealand under 18 team. So it was like probably a turning point for me, just realizing that you can't really just turn up and like be good. You actually got to train and go hard and stuff and get fit and work on all your skills. Yeah.
Like, tell us like the mindset, like how did you, like I think I've been in that position that I didn't get in teams and I'm like, it sucks like shit. But what was the mindset behind it? Like, how did you sort of, what was the thinking process after that?
I think at first, like, it's probably good to be pissed off and like angry or whatever, but then you've got to actually take a step back and get feedback as to why you didn't make the team or whatever and sort of set goals off that and really like pinpoint a couple of things where you think you can get better. But it's good to also know like your strengths as a player and stick to that, I reckon, because you can't sort of just like always get told like, oh, like I think we should do this or whatever. You got to sort of stick to your own guns.
What drove you? Like what was the reason behind why you like work so hard? Because it's a lot of work to like be where you are at the moment.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like probably I just enjoyed it, Like it was just fun. Like it still is. Like it's probably the best thing. Like about even in the New Zealand stuff, we're all going like competing for a position and stuff. But like we're all there as a collective, like just doing it and turning up. Like we turn up in the mornings and train, and it's just good fun, which makes it way easier. Yeah, that's pretty interesting. Now I want to like sort of dive into like your training habits and like techniques and stuff. Tell us your training regimen and like
what you do and stuff?
Yeah, so our week, we've got it set up that it's the same every week. So we have 3 team trainings on the turf. So we train Monday morning at 6:30 in the morning, Wednesday evening, and then Friday morning at 6:30.
Holy.
And then we'll gym on Tuesday, Thursday. And then also on Tuesday, Thursday, we have like skill sessions sort of thing. So we call them individuals, which is when, like if you can or whatever, if you're not working, like the boys will just go down to the turf and work on, like whatever little skill you want to work on and do little drills and stuff, which is a pretty beneficial way, like just having that that time with other players and working each other out and working on little moves and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we'll play club on Saturday, which is always good fun.
All right. How much do you sleep?
Oh man, I just try to sleep as much as I can. Like on Mondays and Fridays, obviously you got to get up pretty early, but the other days I'll definitely try to sleep in if I can and try to get to bed early.
What do you think is the optimal amount of sleep?
Oh man, I don't know, but for me, like 8 hours.
Yeah,
like,
for you?
Yeah, I'll try to sleep like 8 or 9 hours a night. Otherwise, I'll be like a bit gutted.
Like, how do you recover? Because like I think playing sport is like the hardest thing with like trainings is recovering. And I think I asked you this a long time ago as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, how do you recover from training and stuff?
Yeah, so I think at first, like when I first started training real hard with all the New Zealand stuff, the physical recovery was probably the hardest. So from that, you'd be like foam rolling, ice baths and stuff. But now kind of like get used to the training load, and it's because it's what we do every week. It's basically our job, so we're used to all the training. So it's more the mental side of recovery is which I'm trying to get into more. So like most of that is just like being able to switch off from hockey, so going home and just chilling out or whatever, having naps, sleeping and stuff. Yeah.
So what steps do you take to like mentally like refresh yourself other than like sleeping?
Yeah, so it's quite a hard one, because you want to be obviously real focused and switched on to your hockey, but you also want to have time out. So the biggest thing I think for me, and what they actually push us a lot to do in the squad, is have like a good life balance. So basically, like most of us study part-time or work, which is real good because then you go out of hockey and you've got like tasks to do and other work and stuff to get stuck into. So you're not just sitting around waiting for training all day or, messing around, which like that's what I'm doing at the moment. Just watching movies and stuff.
Yeah. Fine. So like, I think I talked to you like last time. You said you do yoga.
Yeah.
Like that's pretty odd. That's like, I'm gonna be honest. Like that's like, I didn't think like I thought it was like for mums and stuff.
Yeah.
But what made you do yoga?
Well, yeah, I think it's just like we do all our running and our gym stuff and that, but a big part of hockey is like the flexibility, and that's going to reduce injuries and that.
Yeah.
So I actually got onto it with my mum. I went to a session with her and I was like, oh yeah, sweet, like this will be easy as, like, just like come back from playing hockey internationally or whatever overseas. And I went to the session with my mum and they were all like you say, like mums. And I was like battling, like sweating, and mum was just found it real easy, and I was like, man, this sucks.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like something I should do more, like it's always good for you, stretching out. Get like, a lot of the boys get like bad knees and ankles and hips and stuff, so I reckon like yoga can probably help that,
Yeah, because you're pretty tall, and like hockey you have to get real low. Do you think it helps?
Yeah, I reckon, probably like stretching you out and just being nice and limber is like never wrong,
Do you think like, people that are like 16, 17, 18, do you think they should look into it?
Yeah, I reckon, like if it's something that you reckon can help you, like it's different for everyone, but it's pretty cool, and it's just like I was saying before, like it's another thing outside of hockey. So I treat something like that, or the gym, like I treat it differently from hockey. Well, not differently, I mean like still give it the same respect, but it's good because it feels like it's different, but you're still actually training and getting better. It's like another hobby outside of that.
All right.
Yeah.
Before this, we were talking about the Wim Hof method. Like for people that don't know, like explain that, bro. Because it's like definitely like if you guys haven't watched it, like it's bloody interesting.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. The Wim Hof, like it's sort of, I remember watching it ages ago on YouTube, and it's this, basically if you haven't seen it, it's this Dutch guy, and he just seems like an absolute nutter. He's got like, it's like 20 something world records for
something like that.
These crazy feats, like he's climbed like mountains and like snowy mountains in shorts and like sand, like fully in ice for like an hour and a half. And he basically is like developed this breathing technique, which oxygenates your body, and it sounds real crazy, but changes you from acidic to alkaline for like a short period of time. Basically, the thinking behind it is that it can help with recovery, performance, your mental state. So like helps people with depression, can help all sorts of crazy things. And everyone was sort of like, man, this is ridiculous. Like, this guy's just a freak. And they ended up hooking him up to all these scientific tests and stuff and putting in like, I can't remember what, but basically diseases into him.
Like
and he'd like viruses,
Mm.
and he'd like fight them off and like train people how to fight them off. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
Like, it's all
Because I told someone, like, you know, like, you might know Clive as well.
Yeah.
I told him, I'm like, bro, this guy is insane.
Yeah.
Have you checked him out? He's like, it's bullshit. And
Yeah.
it seems bullshit. Like, honestly, I'm going to be honest. Like,
Yeah.
if you tell anyone, they're like, nah, no one can do that.
You sound like crazy. Like, I sound crazy even talking about it. Like,
Yeah.
I haven't even gone that deep into it. I went to one course with this guy, Nigel Beach.
Yeah.
And I remember like turning up and sort of being like, yeah, this seems like kind of shit, you know, like
Yeah.
there's no way that you
Weirdos,
can do all
eh?
this weird stuff. And then you're like laying on the ground doing this like weird ass, like breathing in heaps and stuff. And then, yeah, you jump in this cold water and basically start breathing deeply. You can't feel it. And it's the point of the cold water training is like your fight and flight.
Yeah.
So there's like all your stuff, which is like just your daily stuff, you know, like your liver and that all functions, but they reckon you can't train like your fight or flight. So that's training.
Instinct, eh?
Yeah, it's instinct.
Yeah.
So it's getting into that and then like dealing with it and getting used to it and stuff, which is,
That's interesting.
it's crazy, man.
Yeah.
Like it's awesome.
Do
Like,
you think it helped you?
Yeah, it helped me heaps. So one of the things that I've been working on heaps with hockey is basically like being able to stay focused and stuff on the field and
Yeah.
not getting like annoyed or sidetracked or whatever at, you know, like if a ref makes a bad call or you're not playing well.
Yeah.
So our psychologist had got me like, he was like, oh, you should try breathing.
Mm.
And I was like, oh yeah, you know, that's a bit weird. And then end up going to this Wim Hof thing, and that's sort of something I've been trying to implement over the past couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So basically just like centering yourself off a breath, like getting back to like relaxed state.
So like
and stuff.
meditation in a way.
Yeah, it's basically meditation, but it's just off one breath, you know, like if you take a big deep breath, feel good again.
Do you think most people like underestimate the mental side of sports? Like there's a lot of like, you know, physical things obviously,
Yeah.
but don't you think a lot of people should focus a lot more as well on the mental side?
Yeah, 100%, and especially at like a top level or something as well. Like it's so underrated, you know, like you see the All Blacks and stuff, and they're probably just as good at everyone else's skills and just as fit and strong, but they're able to, you know, like do those skills under pressure and consistently do all that stuff. So I think it's a huge advantage if you can train it. And I mean, all the stuff like from sport, mental skills, like is related back to real life, you know, like you can bring it into your day.
Yeah.
So it's good for anyone.
Like, what do you eat? Like, because I think these are like all the things that could help an athlete. Like,
What do I eat?
Yeah, what do you eat? Or do you have a diet?
Nah, not really a diet. Like we got a dietitian and stuff, and he will like tell us sort of like, they don't be like, you know, you got to eat salads and meat and whatnot. So, what do I eat? Like in the morning, I have scrambled eggs, like or some sort of eggs until I'll do like scrambled eggs for a couple of months, and I'll get bored and move to like a different style of eggs. So I have that like every morning, and then lunches and dinners, like just heaps of different stuff, man. So I just try and eat like heaps of vegetables and like beans and stuff, and then obviously meat, but don't like eat meat all the time. I sort of like mix it up and have a bit of vegetarian and stuff.
Do you think like diet is important, especially for an athlete?
Yeah, I reckon it sort of depends what your goals and stuff are. So like when we're not diet related, you know, like even after a game, we have like all these targets of like calories and stuff we've got to eat and like pre-match and that just to like get you ready to go. Yeah. So like, but even after a game, like they'll just be like loading us up with like burgers and dumplings and stuff just to get all the energy in like a tournament situation. Yeah. So it is, but I think like in everyday life, like it's good to just eat a good mix, and you know what you sort of need to have in that. You get a good feeling after a while. True.
What else do you do besides the things we've just talked about? Like, do you think there's other things that are really, really like effective that anyone could implement?
Yeah, I think Well, like pro just again is just being able to like switch off from stuff and get into into doing other things. I think that's important in anything. So even like with you with school, like you're flat out studying. Like I know you're studying heaps and stuff, but it's good that you've got sport and whatnot that you can go and do something else and have a bit of a release. Because what do you reckon? Do you find that beneficial? And
like I think a lot of people get real stressed out when they just do one thing.
Yeah.
And it's like shit, like your whole life. I think like when you have a balance and stuff, you could sort of hang out with these mates and then go do this work. So it's like different.
Yeah.
But like again, like how do you keep balance? Like what are the steps you take? Because do you feel like sometimes you're overworked or?
At the moment, man, like we've got a real good training environment. Our coach Darren, he's super tuned into not overworking us and stuff. So he's like we've got a real good balance, I think, at the moment. And I think training in the morning actually helps that. So you're up early. Like I was up at 5 this morning, and then you're at training, but you're home by like 10 o'clock, and then you've got your whole day ahead of you, so you can do other stuff and get into other things.
Yeah, it's pretty sick.
So like it's a real good balance, and I'm not sure, man. Like I think I got a pretty good balance. I wouldn't know. Like it's good. I got other stuff going on.
Social life.
No.
The frat parties, eh? Yeah, that's like different, interesting. But like when you were like training to get to where you are, like in high school, how did you stay disciplined and committed to the goal and vision? Because, like, especially like now, like high school is pretty distracting and you got so many things on, you got, this party, that party, but how did you block out the noise and focus on what was important for you?
Yeah, I think you just got to, like, if you've got your goals and stuff, sort of like when you can relax and when you got to be real tuned in and stuff. And so like, by all means, like, when I was at high school, like I'd have periods where I'd be like, have a tournament coming up or something, or like some New Zealand stuff. So you just go hard for that month. But it's real important, like coming back to balance, that you do get out to those parties or like, do hang out with your mates and stuff.
Yeah.
So you got to like, just, I guess it's, balancing your life again, like, when stuff's coming up, and it's good to actually go out and get to that party, enjoy yourself.
Yeah.
Unwind.
Do you think most people like prioritize balance, or they just go too hundies and burn out too early?
Yeah, I think a lot of people probably do burn out too early. Like it's when you're like young or whatever, and it's all competitive, it's probably easy to get stressed out and just be like, man, I got to train all the time or whatever. But you're probably better like, going to your party or whatever, and then just knowing that you're going to smash it next week, and like having real focused training instead of just training like 20 times a week.
Yeah, like more quality rather than quantity.
Quality, man.
Yeah. All right. Like in high school, what things did you find pretty hard, especially with like your hockey and stuff?
I was pretty lucky, like through school, that I had like real like good teachers who were real like understanding and stuff, and I kind of like did like obviously did stuff at school that I enjoyed, which I can use in my degree, so that made it a lot easier. But they like I say, like the teachers were epic, because I'd go away for a month or whatever, come back, and they just give you an extension, or like they'd be real understanding, which is real helpful. But then I don't think I really struggled with anything. Like didn't struggle with trying to balance the social life and stuff as well. So
yeah, it's a pretty social person.
Yeah, good bunch of mates, good bunch of boys around. You'll be sweet.
Sweet. Like I do understand now that it's just from the outside, it seems like being a black, say being a pro athlete or a semi-pro athlete, you're always fighting for your position and your jersey, and that's like pretty competitive, and you're always in that competitive mindset. And a lot of people would be like, oh, that's not for me, and like shit, like nah, I can't do that. Yeah. How did you deal with that, or how are you dealing with that?
Yeah, like I totally agree. Like it's pretty intense. So we've got a national squad of 25 and then a development squad of 10. So there's 35 of us, and we're like everyone's pretty much fighting for a position. So at first, like it's pretty weird. You're sort of like it's a strange like mix when you're real good mates with guys, but you're at training and you're going at them. So probably the way that I've dealt with it now is that like you're all fighting for a position, but it's a team sport. So you basically just got to go and do your job, and if you do your job well, you're going to get selected. So like coming up, we've got this series over in Japan and India, and we've got a couple more new boys. So I reckon it's actually real beneficial, like helping guys out and telling them about when you debuted or when you're in the squad first, and like helping bring them in. because it's pretty daunting, like coming in, and you can get stuck into that, like, man, I'm just gonna like be better than that guy, like, and not, you know, like you go too far, and you actually don't really help yourself out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of, it's hard to explain, you know.
Yeah, it is, like, especially from the outside playing like competitive sport. It does seem like, like if you're fighting for that position, you know, you need to like work as hard, and sometimes, you know, people's emotions get the better of them.
Yeah,
sort of slip out.
Yeah, 100%. Like it happens all the time at training. Like you wouldn't believe, you know, like emotions slip out or whatever. But because it's a team sport, like guys, you know, realize that and apologize or whatever if it's needed. But if it's, you know, like sometimes it is needed, the emotions can get out, and it's good for the team. You know, like if you're, you know, like. Because we're all like trying to, as a team, we're all trying to get better. So if we're doing our jobs and stuff and fighting for a position competitive, it's good because we're going to start getting better, and we're starting to make real good gains in that, all helping each other out. Yeah. Yeah.
How was it when you got your big break? And I do know that it was at 17 when you got called up to the NZ Youth Olympics.
Yeah. So
how was that?
That was probably like the first like tournament I went on was the Youth Olympics in China. So man, that was a crazy experience. So it was 5-a-side. So I think there was 9 of us went over, and we were all probably 17 or 18. And we're in an actual village, kind of like same as Olympics basically. And there was like 6 buildings of 20 stories, just all athletes, and like the food hall and stuff.
That's pretty mean. And that looks pretty sick.
Yeah, it was sick. And like we our coaches couldn't stay in the village with us. Yeah, there wasn't room.
Oh,
so
right.
all the other teams had coaches, but we didn't. So we had to pretty quickly like set in rules that you like weren't allowed to have ice cream and stuff before matches, and like no McDonald's and that before matches because we were probably being idiots at the time. Yeah. But yeah, it was like that was so cool, and it set me up pretty well for Com Games. So like being in that multi-sport environment and having other athletes around you and stuff.
Yeah, how was it? Because you recently just came back from the Com Games in Gold Coast. How was that? Yeah, and you guys did pretty well. Like congrats on that, bro.
It was sick. Like we yeah, it was like a bit of a blur really. Like it was just this, again, like a sick village, heaps of like amazing athletes walking around and stuff, which is always pretty cool. You get a little bit starstruck in that, but it was cool being an Aussie, like having the family and stuff there as well. And I think the whole like experience was made better because we did well. You know, like there was no tarnish on it. Yeah. And the gate, like, so we bet India in the semi, which was like crazy. And
yeah, because India is like, you know, one of the greatest hockey countries as well. Man.
And like it was just such a cool atmosphere. There was like this huge stadium. It's probably like maybe like 6,000 to 8,000 people, I think, there. Like it was crazy. And I think we got to the final and we lost, which sucked, but I think we're pretty stoked with taking a silver medal back from the day.
Oh, that's pretty mean. Would you so like for people that want to go on the path you're on, what's the best advice you would give them? Or what's the thing that you know, would have benefited from if you were in their shoes? Like, let's say you're 16, 17, 18, whatever.
Oh, man, I think it's a tough one, I reckon probably I would have liked to have played more sports, like kept going with more sports. So I went like pretty hard into hockey and just did hockey. So I think I would have benefited from still playing, like keeping up other sports, like cricket and that, because you can bring other skills into it. Yeah. And then like probably like the biggest thing I reckon, like it's real cliche and everyone says it, but actually enjoying it. So it's you know, there'll definitely be times if you're really committed to it or whatever, where you turn up and you're like, oh fuck this, like I can't be bothered today.
And it's there's a lot of those times.
And like, so that's like the best thing about a team sport, like I was saying before, is you've got all the boys there. So you'll get a training or whatever, like I had at the gym on Thursday, where you're just knackered and you're just like, man, like I cannot be fucked today. Like everything just feels slow and it's just boring. But then you'll get one of the boys being there, you know, like getting you going along and stuff. So sort of all like driving in the same direction, you know?
Like I'm going through one of those periods right now as well.
Yeah.
Like how do you stay true to that goal? And like, and again, I think it's like similar to the previous question, because there are those days where you're just like, stuff this, man.
Yeah,
Even like podcasts, like I was like, some days I'm like, this is a stupid idea. What the hell am I doing this?
Like, what am I doing after school on a Friday?
And then there's some days where I'm like, shit, man. I'm meeting these interesting people like you and like other people on the podcast as well, and they drive me. But there are so many of those days.
Yeah.
And how did you take any? Was there any systems into place of how you dealt with it, or do you just put your head down and just grind through it?
Yeah, man. I'm not too sure. I think just like if you like you're saying, like with the podcast, you'll have days where you're like, nah, I can't be bothered, but then you'll have days where you're like, man, that was sick. Like like you're telling me about this millionaire guy before, you know, like you're meeting cool people and whatnot. So I think you've got to like keep a real big like wide perspective as to why you're doing it, and you know, like meeting cool people or whatever, and that enjoyment that you get from when you do a good podcast or whatever. And I think you've got to take that, and then like if you're having a shitty day, like it, you know, like you'll be like thinking about it and you'll be like, well, it doesn't matter or whatever, but then once you're done, you have that real sense of achievement, being like, oh man, like still got there, got it done or whatever, got in the gym, got it done. So you've got to grind through it, you know, like you say, you got to stay on the grind.
To be honest, like a lot of people like with studies and stuff, there are going to be like those shit days where we just don't want to do it. And I think the difference between people that are up there and people that are not there or just quit is because they can get through those days. Yeah. And I really genuinely believe that. And I think like anyone I've interviewed on this podcast, I've asked them the same question. I'm like, how do you get through those bad days? Yeah. And they're like, we just grind through it. We don't want to do it, but we have to. Yeah.
So I think like it helps if it's something that you're passionate about, you know? So like, obviously you're a real good talker, good interviewer and whatnot. So coming onto a podcast is something that you naturally enjoy. So you probably can grind through those shitty days. Yeah. Yeah.
Did you have any mentors or people that you looked up to that really, really helped you, or coaches?
Like Canterbury's got like a pretty strong hockey tradition and stuff. So like just looking up to certain guys like in your club team and that who played for Canterbury, and you just whatever like want to be like them or whatever is pretty cool. And then I was real lucky to have a couple of real good coaches who sort of gave me a chance or worked with me and stuff. And then really extremely lucky to have a real supportive family. So my old man, like probably he knows nothing about hockey apart from that he'll stand on the sideline and, you know, he'll come to every game or take you to training and stuff when you didn't have a license. And mum's real busy with work, but she'll always try to get there as well. So I think that's probably the biggest thing for me, you know, like, and maybe it comes back to in Christchurch when I was living there. I don't think I had many shitty days, you know, because it was going to hockey and dad would drive you or whatever, and dad would come watch or mum would be there and stuff. So it's probably a driver as well, you know.
How do you think, you know, I think everyone has a mentor that they sort of talk to about hockey or whatever. How do you think, or the mentors you have, like, how did you find them, and how could someone, you know, who wants to go there find someone like that?
Yeah, I think it's, if, you know, like someone you look up to or whatever. So whether it's your dad or a teammate for a hockey sort of perspective, like if you look up to them or whatever, and then you're probably looking up to them for the right reasons. So, you know, like a lot of the older guys in the team, you know, you look up to them, whatever, they've been black sticks for like 10 years, and you come into a team and it's like, oh shit, that's whatever Blair Tarrant or Ryan Archibald, but they're actually real keen to help you out as well. So, you know, like they'll sort of mentor you through as well. I think you got to like not put yourself out there, but ask questions and stuff, and that's how they probably become a mentor through being a mate. You know, like you don't go out there and be like, "Yo, keep being a mentor."
Seems so unnatural. Like, what the hell? Who the hell is it? Yeah. No, that is true. Like, I think a lot of people take it like, you know, they like find a mentor and they go straight up and just like ask someone. Yeah. But I think it's like that friendship you have with someone, and it's like through that friendship they could sort of help you with this and that. Yeah, man. Yeah, nah, you like definitely like nailed that. And like, so one of the things I wanted to really ask is, you know, what is your goals like after the hockey? What do you think you're gonna do?
Well, yeah, at the moment, so I'm like 3 years through a Bachelor of Landscape Architecture. So I'll probably just keep studying for a couple more years, you know, like might do architecture as well on top of that and just keep studying with hockey. But I'd love to work in either of those fields and I reckon it would just be sick to own your own company, or, you know, like be high up in a company or whatever.
Entrepreneur, bro.
Yeah, it'd be cool, man. You know, like doing your own thing. And I reckon a cool goal would be to design your own house and do the old garden and everything, eh?
Yeah.
Be sick.
Like, how do you sort of, you know, deal with like university, you know, like, do you find it hard?
Yeah.
Playing sport and doing a full uni course as well?
Yeah. So I'm 3 years through, but I've been doing part-time, which is way easier. So it's a lot more manageable. So I usually do like 2 papers a semester or whatever. And then if I can, I'll try crank out a few more. So comes back to that balance, you know, like you're not absolutely bogging yourself down with like 4 papers and all these hockey commitments and stuff. It's just getting that medium.
How do you think sport has like sort of helped your life, or, you know, added value?
Man, it's helped me out heaps, eh? Like, I think gives you so many opportunities, you know. So all my uni's been paid for through hockey. I'm debt free, don't have a student loan or whatever, because it's all been paid through for hockey. Get to see crazy parts of the world, you know, like it's not all like that glamorous, you know. You go to India or whatever and it's pretty eye-opening, so you get a really good perspective on things like that.
How was that?
Man,
seeing that side of the world.
Yeah, like India especially, and even Malaysia, I guess, to a lesser extent, it's really eye-opening, eh? Like over there we'd be rich, you know, like mega rich, but there's just such a massive gap between rich and poor. It's quite shocking, eh?
Yeah, like I went back to Afghanistan a couple of years ago. Holy shit! Like, it's
just like,
man,
gives you goosebumps, eh? You're just like, what the
when
hell?
we arrived back here, I was like, holy shit! Like,
yeah,
this is heaven. Like, I'm serious. This is like heaven compared to some parts of Afghanistan or India or Pakistan or whatever. Yeah. Nah, it's definitely interesting. So we'll go to the like quickfire questions. What is your favorite book or favorite movie, and why?
I'm not much of a reader, but I actually read a book on Andre Agassi called Open. Yeah. Which was pretty cool. It was pretty raw. He was a pretty crazy dude, like crazy talented, pretty ridiculous upbringing, ridiculous life. So I thought it was a pretty cool book. Yeah. And then
true.
Movies, man. That's a toss up. Probably either Batman, Dark Knight, or The Dark Knight Rises. I know it's the Joker versus Bane, I guess.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. What advice would you give your 16-year-old self?
Probably just don't get too caught up in it all, eh? Just keep enjoying it. Keep going hard. Like I said before, keep playing lots of other sports. You know, like all the skills are transferable, so that's a huge thing. And then, yeah, just be grateful, I guess. Like, it's a pretty cool opportunity you get to even play hockey for your, you know, like your representative side, like Canterbury or whatever, and just be grateful for it, eh?
That's pretty cool. When you hear the word successful, who's the first person that comes to mind?
Oh. I'm not too sure, eh? Like,
I think on your toes, bro.
Yeah, on my toes. Like, a lot of people would give like a real classic, you know, like Roger Federer or something, you know, but probably like my mum or dad, I reckon, eh? Mum owns her own business and stuff, which is sick. She's owned it since she's like 22, so I reckon that's pretty successful, and brought up a family and whatnot, so it's pretty awesome.
Oh, that's pretty tight, man.
Yeah.
Before we ask the last question, any parting thoughts you want to share with the people that are listening?
Yeah, I reckon, like, just get behind this sort of stuff, eh? This, like, I was pretty stoked to be asked on here by Taza, and I'm happy.
Advertisement, eh?
Yeah, I'm just happy to like help him out, man. Like, I reckon it's sick that you're doing this and putting yourself out there.
I appreciate that, bro.
It's awesome, bro. Like, it's a pretty big thing to do and pretty big thing to jump into, but I reckon it's awesome.
Cheers, man. I think the whole idea is like, you know, I think, like, if I could even, like, you know, help someone that's on that road, you know, give them advice, or, you know, talking to you and asking questions that really relate to young people that want to go down their path, and some people actually take that advice on board, and maybe 5 years, 10 years time, they actually is, you know, I'm grateful.
Yeah, and man. One little thing or whatever.
Exactly, and I'm keen for that, you know, and this is a good, like, meet people like this, and I'm grateful for that. So last question, bro. What's the impact you want to leave behind, bro?
Ooh.
That's a tough one, eh?
Yeah, it's a tough one. Sports-based, or?
It could be whatever, bro.
Man, I reckon there's obviously a lot of sporting goals that I'd like to achieve, and like striving to achieve and stuff, but probably just to do it the right way, like go out there and whatever, go to Olympics or whatever, but go about it the right way and just be a good guy, I guess.
Nah,
man.
It's good, bro. Cheers, Dom.
Yeah, man.
Appreciate that, bro.
Right, dude. Just before we finish, bro, I bought something for you as well, just like a bit of a present for having me on the show, bro. So
bro, cheers, bro. Appreciate that, bro.
Yeah, so that's one of my playing shirts, game worn.
Bro, I appreciate that, man.
Yeah, bro.
Thanks, man.
No worries, man.
Cheers, bro.